Okay. Hey guys, it's great to see you. I have Mac, and I've got Pipes here, and I haven't
As
seen you.
always,
I haven't seen
as
you
I
guys
always
in a
say,
week.
it's great to be seen.
It's great to be seen anywhere. What has been going on with you in the last week? We're kind of in the middle of the holidays without dating ourselves on these podcasts, but how are you guys doing with the holidays? And we're supposed to be seeing people, and we have family, and we're supposed to be around people and friends. I find it tiring. I find it exhausting, and not to be labeled an old cynical asshole, but I guess I am.
You are what you are.
I am what I eat. I can tell you that. All right.
I wasn't going to go there.
Tell me about this.
What's he been eating?
How do you guys deal with? How do you guys deal with the one time? One time I was at a party. I forgot. I didn't even drive home. That was how bad it was. But how do you guys deal with November, December, January, the 3 months out of the year where everyone's supposed to be nice to each other and have a celebratory drink and meal and put on nice clothes? How do you guys deal with that? Is that something that you look forward to?
I think of it as going to a party. You drink and you enjoy the times, and that's what November, December is. You drink, all the friends and family come over, you see them for a month, and then January is a hangover. So it's kind of a prep.
Yeah, that's a great way to say that. Yeah, I mean, we have so many family events, and now with the kids, with their significant others, and trying to juggle around those schedules and our schedules and my husband's side and my side. And yeah, it's chaos at its finest, and it's exhausting. Like, I go to like Bora Bora or something for the 2 months, and then come back and like pick and choose who I want to spend my time with to holidays, kind of a thing.
I come. It's just my sister and I. My sister and I, and my wife has a huge Catholic family. I was brought up Jewish. It's just my sister and I right now. Sister and me. And just because of economic reasons, we kept it just limited, so that the Jews only have to distribute 50-50, not 10% to everyone. So I think it's a financial and ethnic deal. But when you say Pipes, my side of the family, and your husband's side of the family, do you actually have to divvy things up emotionally and parse it so you spend equal amounts of time with everyone so no one gets pissed off? Mac, do you have to deal with that?
To a certain extent, but it's a long story. We have divided and conquered for many years, and it's kind of become the norm.
All right, so you have that sense that there are boundaries amongst the subparts of the family. I know that both of you have a number of children and extended family with marriages and significant others going on. So I find it exhausting. And I'm not an asshole, I think.
Like I said, it's like going to a party and drinking. It gets exhausting, and the hangover, you don't want another drink for a while.
Wait, Shelby's laughing, but some of my production stuff my therapist didn't call me an asshole, did they? I can't remember, because you have to take notes. I can't remember shit. Anyway, so I just want to kind of get a feel for how we're doing during the holidays, because I kind of love it. Yeah. But this is what I want to know today. And when I tell you, Jose's gonna jump into the intro, so get ready to pull your magic here. This is what I want to know today, and it has to do with the psychology of sex.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
Welcome to the show that never ends. Sexual Healing Podcast. Conversations will address concerns and celebrations within the misunderstood and misinformed world of sexual being. Your hosts, Dr. Bill, Mac, and Pipes, bring insight from different sexual health perspectives, covering 70 years of experience.
And we are back.
Hey.
No, I'm not smoking. But I'm Dr. Bill, Sexual Healing Podcast. I've got Mac and Pipes here as our team to educate and entertain about all things sexual. We are safe here in our studio high on top of a very high and very cold hill. I've got, who do we have? Who's on our security detail? Tucker and Cody, who make it safe for us to impart knowledge, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Our production staff, Shelby and Jose, that are going to get us through the evening, and we're going to talk about the psychology of sex. And you guys should listen. I think we've already established that my therapist doesn't think I'm an asshole, so maybe I have something to say that makes sense. I have spent a lot of years in sexual health medicine, right? And I've also spent a lot of years telling people about my work in psychiatry as a inpatient orderly, I guess, someone who got their teeth knocked out by the people who didn't think I was that great. And then I've spent an equal amount of time with Pipes, last 20 years, hearing that, oh yeah, Dr. Bill, I have a psych degree and background too. Yeah, I'm a big fucking deal. But we're here, and Pipes is going to add her wealth of knowledge to us about the psychology of sex. Yeah, I can hardly wait. I know. Yeah. Hey, don't ever look at me and say that. I've told you that several times.
Take it how you want. Psychologically, I don't know where you ran with that.
All right.
I meant my knowledge.
You meant your knowledge, okay?
Not the Jewish penis.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for bringing my ethnicity into this, but that's okay. That's okay. I can handle it because I have a therapist weekly. Wait, he's on speed dial. Give him a call right now. I think I need a little help. And we've got Mac, who has been with us for 20 years, talking about all this stuff and being on the circuit with myself and Pipes, and trying to spread knowledge throughout the country, throughout the metaverse. Is that what Zuckerberg has? Is that where he lost all his money? The metaverse or whatever the fuck that is? What an idiot. I think he and I are on par as far as financials right now with all the money he's lost. Yeah, I think we better call his loan. But we're going to talk about the psychology of sex. And to me, and I know you'll disagree, Pipe, so I'm waiting for this, as well as our listeners, with bated breath. Bated breath, that's the fisherman in her in the northwest. The issue of the psychology of sex, what does that mean? And I can tell you guys, it means whatever what we want it to mean. And I think that I want to open it up, and I have some thoughts about this, and I have Jose here on the soundboard on his finger of the red button, so it doesn't matter what you say. If I don't like it, we can certainly edit it. But our female expert in psychology, what are your thoughts when we talk about, or when we just throw out the concept of the psychology of sex? What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, that's such a broad statement.
Does it mean it's bad though?
No, it doesn't mean it's bad at all. There's so many aspects, and people can have different views and different perceptions of sexuality or their own sexual health. Psychologically, we've talked in previous podcasts about the benefits of foreplay. We've talked about the benefits of intimacy, communication, the physical interaction. I mean, the psychology, it all leads to the psychology of the relationship of the couple. Like, what are your needs? How are they going to be met? And how do you as a couple communicate and figure out what you both need? what's in your head? What is your process to get to a good sexual relationship with your partner, whomever it may be? Or maybe it's your one night stand and how you want to psychologically mess with them so you get them into bed a lot faster. You know, your one night stand at the bar, or your long term relationships and how you're going to maintain a good, solid relationship with your partner through many, many years.
Well, despite my lackadaisical approach for this topic right now, um, I, I've been doing this for 30 years. I get paid to talk to people about sexual health, and the reality is the very simple aspects of what I do talk about the physical aspects of, for men, getting an erection, for women, getting enough lubrication and sensitivity in the vaginal and clitoral area. So those are pretty black and white issues. When we talk of, and I mean that quite seriously, it's very simple. It's amazing I can think at the end of the day, because what I do every day to make a living isn't that difficult. I read like 4 chapters in some book that I think you threw away years ago. But when we talk about the psychological aspects, it is mind boggling, because it could mean different things for different people, and there's no right or wrong. Mac, throw out some ideas of what comes to mind when you talk about the psychological aspects of sex.
Okay, well, you came to the guys with the street smarts. I don't have the degree in psychology like the both of you, so I'll go from my street to education. How's that? I see men, and being a former athlete, a lot of men with a lot of testosterone. I think men see sex as something they seek out for physical enjoyment. It's the pleasure, it's the activity, it's the chase, and the kill, so to speak. Women, I think they see it.
We're being broadcasted. We have at least 4 listeners. Are you sure you want to talk about the kill of sex?
Well,
has it been over 20 years? Because I think you're fine. But go ahead. Be careful.
I was saying women mostly see it as an extension of a relationship. They want some more intimacy. The sexual urges in men can be more powerful in male, prevalent, I guess you can say.
Animalistic.
Animalistic's a good word, but it doesn't really matter how we or you see it, as long as your sexual relationship is healthy. It could be what some people may think of as perverted or kinky or whatever. I mean, if the joke goes, "Hey, what's the difference between a chicken and a feather?" Erotic is a feather, kinky is a whole chicken. So it all depends on what makes you feel good and makes your partner feel good. If you're into the relationship, or are you just into the act? It's all over the place, and as Pipe said earlier, it's a broad subject. It's going to be studied for years and generations, much after I'm gone. So, but I think it's just what we feel, and it can't be hurtful. If you can be cognizant of the other person and not be cause pain, physical and mental pain, I don't really have an answer, but it's something we all need to be a part of. It helps us feel like we belong, and it can lead to some dangers. It can lead to addiction and other things too. So I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I hope I've answered the question somewhat. But if you feel good and you're in a healthy relationship, it's very important.
Well, no, you bring up some good points, and I have a lot of fucked up family in Chicago that I've kind of blocked on my cell phone and social media. But the psychology of sex gets very, very dark for those guys. I'm not talking about illegal stuff. I'm not talking about stuff that is inappropriate at by any definition. I'm talking about the variations of stand-up citizens who are safe people, who are sensitive people, that may roll in a different way than you and I are comfortable with, but it doesn't mean that it's good and bad. And you're right. If it's safe, it's respective of your partner. It doesn't cause guilt, shame, or coercion. That's the stuff that we want to talk about tonight. The other stuff, in the old days, we used to call it perversion. Mac, you may know it as standard operation. but I think that if we can kind of
I learned from the best.
you're welcome. A+ in the course. I think that if we think in terms of focusing on appropriate stuff that is fair, is sensitive, is real, is not coercive and demeaning and frightening, that's the kind of stuff that all three of us want to talk about, and what our listeners really want to hear about. How do we define this? I think that pre-production pipes, we talked a little bit about some confusion that you see socially in your own personal life about people that you work with, people that you may come across. You have people of all different ages and background that you deal with socially every day because of the varied things that you're into. Share with some of the confusion, if you will, that you've experienced certainly recently in people that you encounter.
Well, we kind of discussed this previously, in our little pre-funk conversation. But I work with an individual, a younger person, not sure what their age is, late teens, early 20s. And in all actuality, I don't know how they identify, and I don't care. That is not my
You're saying gender-wise.
Gender-wise,
okay.
Correct. I don't know how they identify based on how they look, how they dress, any of that. And I've seen them go into the men's room, and I've seen them go into the women's room, and when we've talked about some personal stuff, they just refer to their partner. So they're being very baseline. That's not the word I'm looking for, but they're being very gender neutral themselves, okay. And then talking about their partners. I have no issue one way or the other. I would not interact with them any differently if I knew what their role was. Excuse me.
That tuberculosis is a bitch, isn't it? You would think that we would have had it eradicated by now, but thank you for showing up.
I apologize for that. But I guess and I don't think my interactions would change, because I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I treat them exactly like I treat everyone else that I'm interacting with within the business. But I wonder on their part, like, being able to have more free conversations with people, how important it is to them, their psychology of interacting with the world, and being in the business world, what position am I in to ask? Like, in this day and age, what's the right thing to do? Ignore it like I've done, and just to have the relationship that I have with them, which is a, co-worker relationship. Or do I ask the questions? How much do people want to share? How much are we in a position to ask before it's stepping a line? Because I think psychologically, people, when they're comfortable in their sexuality, it leads to good sexual health. All of the things that we discussed. And then that leads to conversations and communication with your partners and all of these things, and having that. They may be the most confident person in their relationship, and I have no idea. Obviously haven't had that conversation. Again, it's a working relationship. But I'm very curious, because of my interest in sexual health, like, to know how they identify what their comfort level is. I mean, this may be a brain I'm going to pick at some point.
I think that's Very interesting observation, Mac. Are you sharing some of those same experiences that Pipes has had to deal with?
No, I don't work in that type of an. I don't work in an environment that has that type of.
Gender identity.
Yeah, I did. We're different worlds. Let's put it that way. But when you ask, is sex, sexuality, is it emotional or physiological or psychological? I see sex as an emotion, and you've got to reach out and say, hey, I want to help you emotionally as you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with, and what can I do to help you? You may call you what? And back at Pipes here, I'd say Pipes. Do they call you ma'am or miss? Are they gender specific to you? Or they just say call you by name? And maybe you mirror that. Just call them by their name and not worry about what their sexuality is or their sex or what they want to be identified as. But we are in a time where some people, it's very important that people see them for what they want to be seen as, and that you identify and keep the respect. For me, the respect is different. This is a subject that can go on and on and on. But to answer the question of Pipes and Dr. Bill, it's very emotional to a lot of people, and if whatever we can do to help them feel good about themselves, because if they feel good about themselves, it's better for everybody. You don't want an angry person out there.
Both very cool observations. I think it's not marginalizing people. As a professional and not knowing how people necessarily identify when I see them as patients, my go-to is significant other or partner when we talk about sexual activity. And it's not to say that unpartnered sex, masturbation, self-stimulation, I don't marginalize that. That's just very, very important and is a good window of, or good opportunity for insight into what's going on with that individual. But I often say partner or significant other because I don't know the how people identify from a gender point of view. And quite honestly, from the physiological aspect, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter to me when it comes to how we're going to offer evaluation and treatment for some individual who comes to me as a physician, as an expert. So the response I get from patients is quite varied and quite interesting. Some people will seamlessly refer to jump on my comment or initiation of comments regarding partner, significant other by including that. Others will correct me and says, you mean my wife? Well, my wife tells me this, trying to underscore the heterosexual nature of their relationship. My son Joey and Riley, his girlfriend, they're not married, but I don't know when we travel together, is it significant other, is it partner? And I ask out of deference to two of them so they understand that I'm hip, cool, and with it. I'm a Renaissance guy. I don't have to pull out my sunglasses and saxophone to let people know how cool I am. And it's interesting because the responses are always different. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think if that the wrong answer is for people to get offended when the people trying to do their best for inclusivity is not trying to offend anyone, it's trying to make them comfortable. And I think part of the reason is we don't know, or a lot of people who identify differently than their birth gender, if you will, don't know what the fuck's going on either. And it's all new to them. And that's not pejorative. It's not a negative. It's not critical. It's just saying that it's all new to everyone. And there are people who are trying to navigate new pair of shoes, new pair of clothes. You know what? I have an opportunity to wear these shoes. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it, but I want the freedom. I want the respect to be able to play with it. That's fine. I don't care. In the problem is that what the three of us are illustrating is sometimes it's difficult to keep up with the whim of what people are going through, and we all try to find ourselves. I'm at, how old am I, Shelby? 44. At 44, I'm still trying to find myself as far as my play in social media, my role as a more senior advanced guy in the profession. What's the next 5, 10, 15 years for me? So we're all trying to find our way despite our age and how advanced we are in our own area of expertise. Interesting stuff. Now, the other aspect of this is that when we talk about the psychology of sex, it used to be that the 60-year-old divorced guy who now is sleeping with a 25, 30-year-old model, or the 25-year-old woman out of college has found her love partner in a 70-year-old business guy that a lot of us don't really understand. Or the guy that is a Wall Street guy that has some sort of, and I use fetish only because I've seen some British spy movies in the last weekend, so I kind of incorporate that in either homosexuality or looking at threesomes or expanding what we all look at as the Judeo-Christian standard monogamous heterosexual relationship. That clearly is changing. And so not only is the person fighting their own wars, personal wars, and trying to find themselves, it's difficult for us to say that's good, bad, right, or wrong. And someone who does not identify as being white, because I've had my bar mitzvah, I can't do that anymore. It's not white privilege. It's a question of trying to be intellectual, trying to be inclusive, and trying to be sympathetic and understanding. I don't want to go on a tirade, but how does the psychology of sex, how does that impact how we deal with education, what we're trying to do now, how we deal with inclusivity as far as making it okay as long as it's comfortable and safe and not illegal and not brutal or coercive to anyone else? How do you as educators in the field of sexual health deal with it?
Well, I think you just nailed that right there. As long as people find what it is that works for them and what floats their boat, as long as it's not, illegal, immoral, things like that, then who are we to judge what psychologically that gets them to where they're at, where they want to be. We talked earlier when we were kind of discussing certain things, the whole daddy issues concept, but maybe that's their comfort level. And as long as both partners are in it for the right reasons, who are we to judge, if it's wrong, if they should or should not be doing it? I think with anything, with anybody doing something, again, as long as it's not illegal or immoral, people's sexual preferences and needs and desires need to be respected.
Let me ask you this, because I think we've hit it on the nail as far as a theme for the psychology of sex. Both of you are parents of adult children. Both of you are parents of children that have taken the next step, identified, found their life partners, and have chosen through marriage or cohabitation to make a commitment. How do you, and wearing the hat as educators, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, Pipes, by saying the hat of a an expert in psychology. Did I sound serious? Did I look serious, Shelby? Did I look okay?
No.
Okay.
How? I even pull
I didn't pull it off. How do you guys deal with the mom and dad discussions with your loved ones, with the kids? How do you handle that? I've got I've got another 6 months or so with or a couple years with Joey and Riley as far as people that are important to us for the next generation. They've not taken that step yet. How do you guys deal with it?
I would love to hear from Mac because I think of fathers. So we both have daughters, two daughters. And I think as a woman, my perception of certain things with my daughters and the things that I taught them growing up about, that they own themselves and this is the one thing they can't give away kind of a thing. But I'd be curious to hear Mac's side of this as a father of daughters.
Well, thanks for the handoff. My daughters are well aware of my career in sexual medicine, sexual health, and it's allowed us to be more open in our conversations. Now, are they more direct conversations when it comes to relationships and stuff? No, not so much. But I have to be patient because sometimes I think I know what I'm talking about, whereas I'm not a woman, so I don't know. So they take a lot of these matters up with their mother. And I get the cast off questions or cast off thoughts, not much the direct ones. So it's definitely was a team effort to help. Hopefully we gave them a foundation of sexual health. But I wish I could sit here and say I'm really involved in my daughter's sexual health or how they see sexuality. I don't. I must say the first time they went into a Victoria's Secret, I took them into it. Their mother did not. And so we got the shock when we got home. She's like, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, they're young. They're becoming young ladies. They had to see what was going on." But that was more of a tongue in cheek. So to answer your question, I'm hoping I'm answering it. I just have to be patient. We're all learning. Even in today's society, we talk about all this transgender stuff and what's going on. We really don't know what people are thinking, what they're going through. So we have to be patient. We have to hope that it's healthy for them. It's non-harmful to not only them, but the ones that are close. We're learning as we go. I don't think we have a formula. There's so many variables out there that change, and we just have to make sure. I said it earlier, less angry people out there, the better. We'll all learn from that. And if we could just be patient and not judge, as you said earlier, Pipes, and just hope that they're healthy and happy. If they're healthy and happy, they're good. And hopefully they have a background where they can come up and say, "Hey, I've got this issue. Can I talk about it with you?" Whether it's my daughters or a friend's child or whoever it is.
Well,
so I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because as you were talking, I was thinking, I don't know any of the background on this individual that I work with. So I don't have any history or what kind of support they have. And, I guess I would like to be the person that they know that if they had a need or an issue or had to have a conversation, that I could be one of those people that they could have that conversation with non-judgmentally and have that support to get them through this. Because I think anybody who is struggling with their own sexual identity is going to have some issues. If they don't have a good support system, psychologically, that's going to be very difficult. And they are not going to have healthy sexual relationships because they don't have a healthy relationship with their own sexuality.
Very good.
Wow. I'm going to let me sum up this podcast for take a couple minutes. I'm going to have Jose tee us up for the outro. And this is I'm offering selfishly a personal view on my upbringing. I am privileged to have the parents that my sister and I had, Roberta. And I remember my dad and I in high school were in an argument, or I don't even know if it was an argument. It was some counseling, if you will, on my behavior in high school. And he pulled out $20. He says, "You know what? This is the first time I've been a father. maybe I'm fucking up. Here's $20. Go out and buy a better one. And I realized, you know what? He knew what the fuck was going on without ever having been in that territory before. And when I listened to Mac and Pipes and I listened to myself as experts in the field of sexuality and as educators in the field of sexuality, it is clear that we don't know what the fuck's going on. I can tell you, my professors, people that the three of us have worked with in the industry, don't know what the fuck is going on because things are changing tremendously. Things are changing tremendously. I never was educated on pronouns. I'm eager to listen. I never used significant other and partner up until 15, 20 years ago. And I was doing this for 15 years prior to that, as were these guys. So it's an evolving process. There's no right or wrong as long as it's not illegal, as long as there's no guilt, as long as we don't beat ourselves up emotionally or our partners don't beat themselves up emotionally after anything that we do to feel better about ourselves or our partners. Sex is a great deal, and it's an evolving process on the expansion of our sexual menu. Enjoy it, guys. Our listeners have the opportunity to know that you've got a green light to explore your needs, explore your partner's needs, and do what you feel is correct. But the responsibility of, I think, of Spider-Man in the first movie was with with great talent comes great responsibility. So you have the right to be sexually active. You have the right to explore your feelings and explore your gender identity. But there's a huge fucking responsibility to that. And as long as you're not bullshitting yourself or your partners, it's a good thing. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for kind of tuning into a different turn, a different rhythm on our education tonight. We thank you for listening and viewing Sexual Health Podcast with Mac Pipes. I'm Dr. Bill. Take us out, Jose. Have a good week, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends.
Thank you for joining the show that never ends. We will pause with our part. However, you can reach us at sexualhealingpodcast.org. We are here to make your sexual health be everything you want it to be. We'll visit with you next week for another episode of Sexual Healing Podcast. Stay sexy out there.